check it out. Hey guys, we are back, and we are back with a comparison video here today. So what I wanted to go over was, a lot of people had questions. Some wanted me to do a shootout between the Savage and the Ruger. And so I have the Savage Axis and the Ruger American, both, you know, lower end of the hunting rifles out there right now. The Ruger American is a 6.5 Creedmoor, and it's got a more medium contour of a barrel. The Savage Axis that I have is 308. Okay, heavier barrel profile. Realistically, I'm not going to do a shootout between them because they're two different calibers. You're not really comparing rifles as you are comparing calibers at that point. That being said, they're both extremely accurate rifles, both capable of sub MOA, and that's more the shootout would be more about the factory ammunition than comparing the guns. They're both very accurate guns. Okay, so I've already got sub MOA groups out of the Savage Axis. I've gotten a similar test. It wasn't as great, but I got around 1 inch with the Ruger American. I took the American out to a mile. Past a mile shooting, so there's no problem with accuracy. These guns are super accurate. You know, if you're trying to figure out, oh, which one do I get? What's more accurate? They're both accuracy-wise. I'm not really going to compare them. There's no real comparison there. They're both capable of sub MOA with the right match factory ammo. Okay, that being said, what are the differences between these two rifles? Because there are. One of the main things is price. Compared to we have the Savage Axis, right? And then we have the Ruger American. Both very, very, very similar. Okay? Both of these guns are budget rifles. They are lower end of what these companies offer when it comes to rifles. I mean, they're hunting rifles. Very, very cheap, flimsy, plastic stocks, almost identical. That's actually very funny. What happened was Ruger basically copied the Savage Axis. I mean, you can see right here. Let's look at the fore end on these, right? Look at the fore end over here. Ruger American. Let's look at the fore end over here. Savage Axis. I mean, they're almost exactly the same. So, some of the differences here, right? We're looking at price. There's a big price difference. The Ruger American Predator is about $100 more than the Savage Axis. Savage Axis I picked up for $269. Okay, the Ruger American you're looking at around $380 right now. It's actually hard to find the 6.5 Creedmoor right now. A lot of people started buying these because they saw a lot of videos online of what they're actually capable of, and there's a very capable rifle. That being said, Savage Axis is also very capable. You just have to have better fundamentals, I think, because the trigger is so shitty. Unless you replace that trigger, you really have to be a good shot to pull off tight groups. Another big difference we spoke about already, the triggers, right? The Ruger American comes with it's not an AccuTrigger, but it's much nicer than the Savage Axis. The Ruger American wins when it comes to the trigger, okay? When we have, right, that's empty. You get on here, and you basically hit a wall, and you know exactly when that's going to break. You know when that's going to break. And I was able to adjust this and lighten it a lot. I mean, that's maybe a 2-pound trigger on there. Very, very nice. Right? You can get it down. There's no need to really go into a drop-in trigger. This trigger, on the other hand, even though I brought it down some, it's a hard trigger to work on and to adjust, and I'm still at about 4 pounds. It's just, I'm probably going to end up dropping in a new trigger on that. It's just not good. I can work with it, but it's not great. Right above the triggers, we have the bolt. Okay, the bolt handle I'm going to give to Ruger. The Ruger American wins in this category too. Reason is they have a nice 70-degree bolt angle on this. So when you come up, that's as high as that bolt's getting. Okay? Plenty of room to clear a scope. I mean, not even close. Okay? Now, let's compare that with the Savage Axis bolt. See how much higher that is? That's coming up there. And yes, it's clearing the scope. But if you're going really quick, your hand's is probably going to hit into the scope when you're coming up with that, right? I do like the angle on this. See if I can try to hold them both up for you. And you can see yourselves. Okay. Both bolts right now are up as high as they can go. Compared to the Savage, the Ruger American is a little bit lower, which means you have more clearance when running with an optic, which you are running with an optic. Now, let's talk about the magazines. The magazine on the Ruger American. It's a very easy little latch here. Just press, pops right out. Plastic one. Okay. It works well. I didn't have any issues with it. Go back in, just push it in, pops back in. It's good to go. I didn't have any issues with this rifle. Besides a replacement magazine costing about $45, that's the only issue I have with that. But other than that, it's a nice smooth system. Over here, the Savage Axis. Again, there's another little latch here. You press in and pull out. When I first got it, it was very difficult to come out. I mean, I had to really press this in for this to come out. After I've taken it in and out a couple times, it's coming out easier. I guess I just had to wear in a little bit. But pushing it back in, it's not as smooth as the Ruger American. So I give the Ruger American wins on that. The stock itself, they're both the same. They're both, crappy little plastic stock that you have to work with. Okay. Both of them work. They will work. If you want to drop in a chassis system, you can do that. If we're looking at the bolt designs, I think Ruger has a cool. Savage has the 2-lug design on that bolt. I actually like the bolt's a little bit smoother on the Savage, going back and forth. So I don't know if that means anything, but there's actually a bolt depress on this side. This uses a 3-lug design, so it's a little bit different than the Savage. But it's smooth. It's smooth. It works. Never had any issues with either of them. Not that I have more experience with the Ruger American than I do with the Savage right now. I just have more time because I also have the Ruger American Ranch. Okay. That being said, mounting, the Ruger American comes with a Picatinny style. It's a Weaver Picatinny style mount. It's weird. I had to take it off. and mount the EGW, which I have on both of these. Both have the EGW 20 MOA mount before I put the scope on. Okay, let's look at the barrels. Again, it's difficult to compare the barrels because one's a medium contour, which you can obviously see the big difference. The one on the right is a Savage. That's a heavy barrel, but the Savage also comes with a Sporter barrel, which I'm not sure about the diameters of it, but this the Ruger American is supposed to have it's a medium contour, but also has a threaded barrel. The end is threaded, so you can put on a suppressor or muzzle brake. With the Savage Axis, they're not. Even with the regular Sporter barrel, they do not have the threaded barrel. Okay, so looking at both rifles, if we take out the stock, take the stocks off, okay, the Ruger American has I think a better designed internal bedding system, which locks it in. It's a very interesting, you'll see here up on the screen, it's a very cool concept to make especially a rifle with a crappy stock like this, to make that rifle pretty accurate. And that's a very good way to really lock that barrel and the action in. The Savage doesn't use that. It has, if you see here, it has a recoil lug that's part of the stock, and then that goes into the barrel. So it's a little bit different in that sense. But again, I've seen very good groups from both of these rifles. So is one super better than the other? I don't know. I haven't seen that from shooting both rifles. So now some of you might be thinking, all right, Greg, well, which one should I buy? Which one do you recommend? And there's a few things to take into consideration when choosing between either one of these. What's your use? What's the use of the rifle? Is it just a hunting rifle? Do you really care about super long accuracy? It's up to you. That's up to you. Both rifles are great rifles. If you have the money and you want to get the whole package, go for the Ruger American Predator. Between the trigger, because the Savage Axis, this is a great rifle, but I have to redo the trigger. And even after working on it, it's still not great. And I'm gonna probably have to drop in a Timney trigger in there. Once I do that, then it'll be a contender for the Ruger American. But that being said, I have to add another $100 to it. So right there's no price difference, right? The main benefit was Savage Axis was cheaper by about $100. So, but I was able to find Savage made some heavy barreled ones. They're not making a heavy barreled Ruger American Predator. That would be cool, Ruger, if you're listening. I know you just made it 6mm, so I know you guys are listening to customers. But they know that people are using this rifle, the Ruger American in 6.5, for long range stuff. So, depends what money you have. If you're a bare bones budget, like you have to buy the cheapest thing. Honestly, this rifle I've gotten sub MOA groups out of already at 100 yards, so that's pretty cool. I know it's going to be a great shooter. It's going to be a great gun. If you don't have that much to start with, you can start there and start building up and adding to it. I'm probably going to. Eventually, I'm going to probably cut this barrel down. It's around, I think, 22 inches right now. It's around 22 inches, but I want to cut it down maybe to about 20 or 18 inches, and then thread the barrel, just for in the future if I ever want to add any suppressors or anything to it. I'm a big fan of short barrels, even with long-range stuff. I still like to keep them short. Alright, if you want to get right into long range with minimal adjustments, minimal things to do, the Ruger American Predator in 6.5 is a great option. Now, that coming out in 6mm too, which is 6mm is used in a lot of, I think, PRS shooting, the precision rifle shooting courses and stuff. So, I mean, these guns are extremely similar. They're super similar. The trigger is better on the Ruger American. Trigger's better on the Ruger American Predator, and Yeah. Other than that, there's not many differences. Plus the bolts, I like the bolt design compared to the bolt handle. The angle's just better. So, yeah. Like I said, I'm not going to do a shoot off between the two. They're both going to come in sub MOA. They're both different calibers, so I'm not going to do that. But realistically, looking at them, they're very similar rifles. They're going to shoot very well. The Ruger American Predator has a better trigger and I think a better integral the bedding system. But like I said before, this one's shooting great too. So, Savage Axis, if you're on a budget, that works. Plus, there's a lot of aftermarket stuff for the Savage Axis. So if you want to do like a custom build, you can do that. And I'm thinking, in the future I could drop this into an MDT chassis. And there's so many things aftermarket for them compared to the Ruger Americans right now, just because the Savage Axis line has been out longer. But there's no reason why they're not going to come out with stuff for the Ruger as well. But right now there's more aftermarket for the Savage Axis. So it's a toss-up. It depends what your budget is. Depends what you want to do with it. Realistically, you're not going to go wrong with either one. Those are just some of my ideas out there. Okay. All right, that's it. Thanks, guys.